To demonstrate edges and pooling, I will paint some leaves. I'll use the wet on dry thick and thin squirrel brush with some adjustments. I'll also set the tablet tip feel to firm to give better control over the thickness and thinness of the strokes. Now I'll apply the edges action. And adjust the opacity to suit. This gives the typical edges that one gets with wet paint applied on dry paper. Now I'll go back to the watercolor layer and apply the pooling action. To see the effect better, I set the pooling layer opacity to 100%. Then I'll double click on the inner shadow layer style, set the opacity to 100% to see the effect fully, and adjust the distance, size, and color if required, although the default of black is usually okay. And finally, the opacity. In some cases you will also need to adjust the angle so that the pooling occurs where it should, at the bottom of the leaves in this case, to simulate what would happen if the paper was sloping down. The pooling is not bad as it is, but you can limit it by picking an eraser. The eraser round soft brush is a good choice. Make it a little bit less soft perhaps, and erase the pooling that you don't want. So let's review the effect of turning off the pooling and then the edges and then turning them back on again. To show the effect of edges and pooling in a bit of a painting, I've painted a little bush and painted leaves using the same wet on dry thick and thin squirrel brush as before. I applied edges and pooling to the leaves as before, and this is the effect. First the edges, then the pooling. As you can see, these two effects make quite a difference to the painting. If I turn off the leaves and trunk, you can then see what the edges, the pooling, and the combination of the two look like. I would just like to make the point that, in general, you should apply edges and or pooling to individual objects as you paint them. For example, to a shadow, a leaf, a twig, and so on, and not try to apply them to a whole painting. The reason for that is that this will give you better control over the effects than if you were to apply them globally to the whole painting.